Are you Charles Holloway?
I am.
Charles Holloway, you are charged on the first count with murder, in that on the 4th day of October 1973, in the county borough of Fulchester, you murdered Mavis Berger. How say you? Are you guilty or not guilty?
Mr. Holloway?
Yes? Not guilty, I'm sorry.
On the second count, you are charged with murder, in that on the 4th day of October 1973, in the county borough of Fulchester, you murdered Elizabeth Pearl Watson. How say you? Are you guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
James Morris, Inspector, Fulchester CID, my lord.
Inspector Morris, were you on duty at Fulchester Central Police Station on the evening of October the 5th last year?
Yes, sir.
What were your duties?
I was senior officer on duty, sir.
And in the course of the evening, did you interview the accused?
Yes, sir.
How did that come about?
I received a message from the desk sergeant, sir, telling me Mr. Holloway was downstairs. I went down to him and conducted him to the interview room on the ground floor.
What happened then?
He produced a gun and gave it to me.
Produced a gun? You mean from his pocket?
No, sir. He took it from a piece of brown paper it was wrapped in. He'd been holding it in his hand.
Is this the gun? It's Exhibit 1, my lord.
It is, sir.
Did he say anything as he did so?
Yes, sir. May I refer to my notebook, my lord?
Mr. O'Connor? Yes, certainly, Inspector.
Thank you, my lord. He said, I think I've killed 2 people. This morning I saw myself do it. It was the 2 people in the flat above us. It seems I've shot them. I then cautioned him and asked him if he wished to make a statement. He said he would. After he'd written down the statement, he signed it, sir. And then I cautioned him again.
Did he say anything else?
Yes, sir. He said, as I arrested him, I still cannot understand what happened. I thought I would remember the scene, but I haven't. But I did kill them.
Now, is this the statement that the defendant made? Exhibit 2, my lord.
Yes, sir.
Members of the jury, this is the statement. I live at flat 9, Cresswell House, Fulchester, in a 4-room flat. In the flat above are 2 ladies who say they are aunt and niece and who have been driving us nuts for years. They have done everything to annoy us. They have a great many animals up there. They're allowed to urinate through the floor. They bang about all night. They keep their television set on at top volume all day. They break our windows. They let water pour through our ceiling. They know how to fuse our lights. Yesterday, I couldn't stand it any longer, so I took my old service revolver and some bullets I had had since I was demobilized from the army and went upstairs and shot them both dead. I'm sorry. Inspector, how did Mr. Holloway appear to you when he made that statement?
He seemed perfectly calm and collected, sir.
No question then of any stress or any emotion?
Quite the reverse. He struck me as being very precise and clear-headed.
And the statement was made absolutely voluntarily, was it? You didn't prompt him in any way?
Absolutely not, sir.
Good. Now, had you met Mr. Holloway before?
Yes, sir. He'd been to see me or my staff on 7 previous occasions to complain about the 2 women above. It appears that they had taunted Mr. and Mrs. Holloway and made their lives a misery.
In what way?
By all the means mentioned in the statement, so and similar ones.
Now, what action did you take over these complaints?
Well, on the first occasion, sir, I sent an officer around to interview the Miss Berger and Miss Watson, the 2 persons concerned.
The 2 deceased?
Yes, sir. His report stated that both women lived in terrible squalor with a large collection of domestic animals in the flat, and that over the past years both women have been in and out of mental homes, and that they were under the care of the welfare department.
That is the County Borough Council Social Services Mental Health Department.
Yes, my lord, known as the welfare.
A euphemism? They were not certified then?
No, sir, but I was given to understand they had been voluntary inpatients.
I see, thank you.
Now, what action did you take on receiving your officer's report?
Well, I forwarded the report onto the welfare department.
And the 6 subsequent complaints, you said there were 7?
I forwarded them on too, sir.
Over how long a period was this?
Well, the first complaint was 3 years before the killing, sir.
Did you receive any other complaints?
Yes, sir. From Miss Berger and Miss Watson. They complained about Mr. Holloway, sir.
They complained about him?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
O'Connor, do you object to this evidence?
No, my lord. Well, what was the nature of their complaints?
They said he made obscene gestures to them in the street, sir. And on another occasion, they complained that he polished the stairs leading to their flat with a criminal intention of causing them to slip and break a limb, that sort of thing.
Did you take any action on their complaints?
Yes, sir. On this first occasion, sir, I went myself to see Mr. Holloway.
And how did he take it?
Well, he was very polite, but I could see that he didn't like it.
Yes, hardly surprising. Did he offer any comment?
He said they were mentally unstable, sir.
Was that the actual expression that he used?
No, sir. He said they were nuts, sir.
Nuts?
Yes, sir, nuts.
And the other complaints that the two women made to you?
I sent them on to their welfare, sir.
Why was that?
I thought they were nuts too, sir.
Yes, quite so. Nevertheless, did you discern any similarity in the pattern of these complaints?
Yes, sir, I could see that things were becoming serious between the two households as time passed.
So that when it suddenly exploded into violence, you
My
weren't at
lord,
all-
no evidence has been brought forward to suggest that it exploded into violence.
I'm surprised that my learned friend doesn't consider the shooting dead of two people a violent act.
It's not necessary so, my lord.
Yes, I suppose it might be difficult to see how in practice one could shoot someone dead in a gentle manner, but I suppose an accidental shooting might not be characterized as violence. No doubt Mr. O'Connor is anticipating a defense of provocation. Very well. We shall just have to wait and see. Well, let's get on.
I have no further questions, my lord. Thank you, Inspector.
Inspector, why did you omit some of what the defendant told you?
Pardon, sir?
As you say, you didn't prompt the defendant, but you did leave out some of what he told you, didn't you?
Sir?
Did he not also say it was like someone else doing it?
He may have.
Or did he or didn't he?
He did.
Well, then why on earth did you leave it out?
Well, it didn't mean anything, sir.
Didn't mean anything.
It wasn't relevant.
Do you usually edit statements by cue so that only what you believe to be relevant is included?
It was just a vague comment, sir, almost like saying good morning or excuse me. He did say good evening, but I didn't put that in.
Did you perhaps omit it because it might further have indicated a state of mind that the defendant was in at the time of the killings, which is most relevant to this case?
No, sir.
But you did omit it?
Yes.
Yes. Now, you say he was calm when he made that statement.
Yes, sir?
And clear and precise.
Yes?
Here was a man confessing to the deliberate killing by shooting of two mental deficients who have been tormenting him for 3 years, and you say he was calm and precise?
He was.
Unusual in itself, wouldn't you say?
I don't receive murder confessions every day, sir.
But confessions to crime of a violent nature, intent to do bodily harm, for example, are they usually calm and on emotional occasions?
Not always.
These curious verbal expressions, in that part of his statement which you have allowed to remain, that is, I think I have killed 2 people, I saw myself do it, it seems that I've shot them, I thought I would remember the scene, but I haven't. Do they not strike you as remarkably puzzled, even confused?
My lord, the officer is being asked for his opinion on matters of evidence. His learned friend must make comments. Can he not do so when he addresses the jury?
Yes, I must agree with that.
I beg your pardon, your lordship. Let me put it this way. Did the defendant, when he made that statement, recognise the horror of what he'd done?
He fully understood what he was saying, sir, and was absolutely clear about what he had done.
Indeed. When you received the message from your desk, Sergeant, that Mr. Holloway wished to see you, did you go straight down to him?
I finished what I was doing first, sir.
How long did that take?
Not long.
What were you doing at the time?
Desk work, routine.
I have a copy of the station logbook here, Inspector. It says that Mr. Holloway arrived at 7:05 p.m. and you went down to see him at 9:10 p.m. You kept him waiting for 2 hours.
Yeah, it might have been.
2 hours! Why on earth was that?
I was busy, as I said.
Desk work. Inspector, isn't the true reason why you kept him waiting so long was that you were fed up to the teeth with him and his interminable complaints about these women? Indeed, it was only 3 months before that he'd complained to your assistant chief constable about your lack of action in this dispute. And that is why you are omitting one extremely important matter from your evidence.
I have omitted nothing, sir.
Is it not a fact that the defendant was extremely distressed when he made that statement?
No, sir.
That he was appalled at what he had done and was in a considerable emotional turmoil about it?
He was absolutely calm.
And that you have omitted this important pointer to his state of mind because you were annoyed at his complaint to your superior?
That's ridiculous.
Oh, is it, Inspector? Is it indeed? Or would it be fair to say that Mr. Holloway was normally a mild man?
From what I knew of him,
Gentle.
yes.
Mild and gentle.
We get
The
all,
last sort of person, in fact, that you would expect to commit a crime of violence.
we get all sorts.
Well, would it be fair to say that when he came to see you about his complaints over the 3 years, he didn't scream and shout about them?
No.
He remained calm.
Never raised his voice, sir.
He never got heated or lost his temper.
No, sir.
Then would it be fair to say that when he came to see you to confess to the killing of 2 women by shooting, you were surprised
Yes, I was.
because it was so completely out of character?
Yes.
Thank you, Inspector.
Do you wish to re-examine, Mr. Lloyd?
No, my lord, but I trust that the inspector will now be able to remain in court.
Yes, I think you must be labouring under the same disadvantage as I am.
I suspect so, my lord.
Yes, namely what the defence's case is. Very well. Are you able to remain in court, Mr. Morris?
Yes, my lord.
Thank you. Let us proceed.
I call Dr. Martin Hunter-Smith.
Dr. Martin Hunter-Smith, please.
What is your religion? Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Dr. Hunter-Smith, you're a police surgeon attached to the pathology department at the Home Office at Liverpool.
Yes.
Were you consulted by Fulchester CID on October the 6th of last year about a double shooting?
I was. I was requested to report on the injuries to the 2 bodies.
Where was this?
At flat 9, Cresswell House, Fulchester.
You went there,
I did?
you examined the bodies.
Yes. They were of 2 females, one aged approximately 60 years, the other aged approximately 35 years. Each had been shot at close range by a single bullet through the heart.
In what position did each body lie?
That of the older female was in the bathroom. It lay on its back as if the force of the bullet had knocked it clean over backwards.
Would death have been instantaneous?
A matter of seconds.
And the other body?
The younger female lay on its side in the kitchen. The force of the bullet had knocked it back against a table from whence it had slumped to the floor.
And the wound was in the same position?
In both cases, the bullet had shattered the 5th rib and entered the left ventricle of the heart. It was an expert job.
Oh, what do you mean by that, Doctor?
I mean, my lord, that where death occurs by shooting, it's usually, well, rather a messy business.
You've attended many such cases.
37.
I see. Thank you.
So could you say then, against the background of your considerable experience, that these 2 cases are characterized by any factor?
Yes. The neat and apparently deliberate way in which they were carried out.
Neat and deliberate.
Oh, yes. This was a calm and deliberate killing by someone who knew exactly what he was about.
Dr. Smith, did you observe the general conditions of the flat where these 2 women lived?
I did, yes.
What was its condition?
Indescribable squalor. The walls were thick with dirt. There were any number of animals. Cats, dogs, rabbits, gerbils, mice, and a small goat.
Did you say goat?
Yes, my lord. They're used for milk.
I'm well aware what goats are used for. But you mean to say that all these animals lived in this flat?
Yes, my lord.
But surely the public health authorities
My
would...
lord, I shall be calling evidence to show that the Public Health Department did try to put an end to this menagerie, but when they discovered that the 2 women were in care, they had to leave off for some time.
They referred the matter to the welfare,
Quite, my lord.
who did nothing.
Yes, my lord.
Shall we be hearing from the welfare?
We will, my lord.
I shall look forward to it. Let's proceed.
Thank you, my lord. Dr. Hunter-Smith, from your experience, would you say that to be able to kill another human being by shooting them at close quarters would call for a considerable emotional voltage of some sort?
My lord, the witness is not a psychiatrist.
Well, it's impossible to be in medicine today without some knowledge of psychiatry.
Yes. I shall allow the questions so long as we don't enter deep psychiatric waters.
I'm obliged, your lordship. Dr. Hunter-Smith?
For a normal, peaceful citizen to be able to shoot not 1 but 2 persons at close range would require an overwhelmingly explosive emotional crisis of some kind. Otherwise, he could not do it. For an experienced killer, such an explosion would not be necessary.
On your experience, Doctor, which of these two categories is indicated by the nature of the wounds in this case?
The second, undoubtedly.
The experienced killer.
Yes, it was so carefully done.
Would you say it would be impossible for someone in your first category to kill in this way?
Yes.
Why?
As I've said, such persons can only kill in a blinding burst of rage, usually with innumerable shots fired at random into the victim. You might say they go temporarily mad, otherwise they could not do it.
And if you were confronted by a person who's demonstrably not an experienced assassin, but an ordinary, peaceful, law-abiding citizen who claimed that he had committed these killings, what would your reaction be?
I would not believe him.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter-Smith. Unless Mr. Lloyd has any further questions? No. You may go, and thank you for attending.
My Lord, there's an agreed statement from the ballistics section of the Research Services Department of the Home Office Police Department. And it shows that the bullets which killed the two victims have been examined, and they were beyond doubt fired from the gun which the defendant handed to Inspector Morris, which has been produced as Exhibit 1. But it also shows that the bullets were manufactured approximately 1 year before the date of the killings. That is in about October of 1972.
I see. Very well. Thank you.
My Lord, that is the case for the prosecution.
My Lord, I call the defendant Mr. Charles Holloway.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Charles Holloway, you are age 63, and you are by occupation a seller of newspapers.
I'm manager of the newspaper pavilion on Fulchester Station,
What we might call a kiosk.
if you wish.
And you live with your wife at flat 9 Creswell House, Fulchester.
Yes,
How long have you lived there, Mr. Holloway?
4 years.
Would you describe it, please?
Well, it's a nice little flat, really.
I mean, how many rooms there are there?
There's the sitting room. That's the one at the front facing the road, the one that, well, used to be a bedroom. And,
There are 4 rooms, are there not?
Yes,
It's a small ground floor flat.
that is correct.
And the 2 women which it is alleged you shot...
Oh, I did shoot them.
Yes, well, we'll come to that in a minute, won't we? Now, these 2 women, they live where?
Above us.
In the flat directly above you.
That is correct, yes.
My lord, the jury already have a photograph of the block of flats. Now, the Holloway's flat is at one end. It is marked with a large cross. Thus, they were the only flat to be directly affected by the behaviour of the 2 women immediately above them. Mr. Holloway, when you moved into this flat, how long was it before your dispute with the 2 women immediately above started?
As we walked in the front door.
It started immediately.
Oh, yes.
In what way?
Well, we were standing in the hall when we suddenly heard a tremendous noise over our heads. It was their television set and a gramophone on full blast both at once, and they were jumping up and down on our ceiling deliberately.
They were jumping up and down on their floor, that is your ceiling, and you thought deliberately.
Yes, and there are no carpets up there. The noise was terrible.
So what did you do?
Well, I went upstairs and I knocked on the door.
Yes?
It was answered by Miss Berger, and that's the older one, and I raised my hat and I said, "Good morning." And she said, I can't say it out loud, my lord. May I write it down?
If you wish.
Thank you. I'm much obliged to you. That's what she said to me, my lord, before I could say anything at all.
Did you reply?
Yes, I did. I said, "I beg your pardon, madam." And she said, "Could I have another piece of paper, please?"
Yes, I don't think we need the exact words. I take it that she abused you obscenely, did she?
Yes, she did, my lord.
Please go on.
Well, then I went back down to my wife and I told her. I said, those two persons upstairs are not ladies.
Right, so. And did these disturbances with your upstairs neighbours continue?
Oh, they got worse. As time went on, they seemed to want to drive us mad. It was unbelievable. But they were mentally defective, you see. Once I caught Miss Watson watching us through our letterbox. I was standing in the hall and I turned round and there were these two eyes looking at us. And I threw the door open, but she ran upstairs, covering her face like this, as if she were trying to convey the idea that she wasn't there.
You complained about these disturbances?
Oh, repeatedly, but nothing ever got done. It was a nightmare. My wife and I, we sometimes couldn't bear to go home, and it was our home. It was our home, after all. And sometimes we tried to bed down in the pavilion.
Tried to sleep in the newspaper kiosk at the station?
Yes. We took a mattress there by taxi, but we couldn't sleep. It was too cold. It was too noisy. It was affecting our health, do you see?
Did you try to reason with them?
Oh, yes, indeed, yes. On several occasions, I'm a most reasonable man.
With what result?
The vilest abuse. Oh, it got worse. Oh, it got quite awful. When it got so awful we couldn't stand it, we used to go out for a walk, for anything, just to get out of the place.
Now, can we come to the events of the evening of the 4th of October, please?
That was when...
When the two women were killed, yes.
Well, that afternoon, my poor wife was so upset when we shut up the pavilion. She just sat on a bench and cried. This was on platform 5. She just cried. She wouldn't go home. It was awful. I'll never forget that.
But you did get her home?
Eventually.
What time?
About 5.
And then?
Well, then I got out my old service revolver, and I went upstairs and I shot the two creatures dead.
Would you describe what you did, step by step, please?
Well, I went upstairs, and their door was just a little bit open. And I went into the dining hall just inside. And there they both were. There was one there, and one there. And I shot them.
Mr. Holloway, how did you feel when you committed this act?
In what way?
Well, Mr. Holloway, when you shot these two women, were you, for instance, in a rage, or calm, or what?
I can't actually remember it very well. But I was perfectly calm, I think.
Calm?
Oh, yes, I am in fact guilty.
Yes, Mr. Holloway, but you have, of course, pleaded not guilty to murder.
That was only because you told me to. I wasn't going to.
Now, Mr. Holloway...
I did kill those women, you know that. I've never denied it. I don't deny it now.
But
I
Mr.
wanted to plead guilty, you wouldn't let me.
Now,
So I only pleaded not guilty because you told me to, but it's wrong, it's wrong. Because I did do it.
The case of the Queen against Holloway will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Charles Holloway, the manager of a newspaper kiosk on Fulchester Station, has confessed to the killing of his two upstairs neighbours by shooting them. Nevertheless, he's pleaded not guilty to murder. We return to the Crown Court following Holloway's statement from the witness stand that he had wished to plead guilty to the charge, but his counsel had persuaded him not to. He now feels this advice was wrong.
My lord, I have now had an opportunity of talking to my client, and he wishes to withdraw the statement he made immediately before the court rose yesterday, and adhered to his original plea of not guilty to murder.
Very well, he may return to the witness box. I would remind you, you are still on oath, Mr. Holloway.
Yes, my lord.
Do you wish to reconsider anything else you said in evidence yesterday?
No, my lord. I'm extremely sorry if I became
Very well.
heated.
Let's get on.
My lord. Mr. Holloway, are you a man subject to violent outbursts of temper?
I don't believe I've ever lost my temper.
What, never?
No,
Never in your life?
I don't believe so. My father was an army major. He was very forthright. We were taught not to show our feelings.
So even under the prolonged stress of 3 years, you did not break down?
No.
Did you feel at the time of the shootings that you were doing anything wrong?
I didn't feel anything. It was like a dream. It was very strange. It started on the station platform that afternoon, about 4 hours before I put an end to them.
And how long did this dreamlike state last?
Until lunchtime the following day.
Then what happened?
Well, then it suddenly came over me what I'd done, the appallingness of it. It was as if all my feelings had been frozen until then.
You felt your feelings had been frozen at the times of the killing?
Yes.
The next day, when you'd recovered, as it were, what did you do then?
I wanted to kill myself. I couldn't survive with the idea of what I'd done. So I took the gun and I went out. I caught a number 32 bus in front of the station and I went off into the countryside. There was a little wood with a stream, and I stood by it for a bit. And then I took out the gun and I put it on a tree stump in front of me. It was a lovely day. Sun, trees, birds. And I began to wonder. I thought, with luck, perhaps I'd only get a few years in prison. Maybe I'd be out by the time I was, well, 72, 73. And I decided to give myself up. Because that wouldn't solve anything. So I went back and I told my wife what I'd done. And we made all the arrangements. We went to the bank, the insurance office, that sort of thing. And then we went and had tea together in a shop. And I gave her a list of addresses she'd need, tradesmen, that sort of thing. And then I went to the police station and told them what I'd done.
Looking back now, can you visualize the scene when you say you shot these 2 women?
Not clearly. It's as if it wasn't me at all.
As if it wasn't you at all?
Yes.
As if, as you put it, your feelings were frozen?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Holloway.
We've only your word for that, though, haven't we?
I'm sorry?
That colourful description of how you felt when you killed these women, your emotions frozen and so forth. We've only got your word for it.
I suppose so.
Yes, and your word isn't always reliable, is it?
I don't know what you mean.
Don't you, Mr. Holloway? In your statement, you said, I took my old service revolver and some bullets I'd had since I was demobilised from the army and went upstairs and shot them both dead. That's what you said, isn't it?
Yes.
But here's the ballistics report. It says the bullets were less than 12 months old.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a mistake.
A mistake? It was
Yes.
a lie, wasn't it? It was...
Yes.
Yes, a deliberate and calculated lie to hide the fact that you'd gone out and bought those bullets with a deliberate intention of shooting the 2 women.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Then why did you lie?
Because it would have sounded so feeble.
What would?
Well, the real reason that I bought
Which
those
was?
Well, last March. That's March of last year. And a friend of ours, he was an old friend, and he was mugged. In the street, not 100 yards from the flat. He's never really recovered. It was shocking.
Yes, Mr. Holloway.
Well, there is this man. He comes to the pavilion, And every month he buys a magazine called Gun Monthly. And I told him about the incident. I told him how shocked we were, and he said he could get us some bullets, just a few, you understand. And that's when I bought the bullets.
For self-defense?
Yes.
Then why on earth didn't you say so before?
Well, as I said, it would have sounded so feeble. After all, I did shoot those women.
Yes, you did. You shot them and you killed them in this extraordinary, dreamlike state that you describe, and for that we only have your word, haven't we?
Yes.
And we know now that you don't always believe in telling the truth. Now, where did you get the gun from?
Oh, I had that in the army.
Yes, you're in the 2nd Battalion of the Fulchester Regiment, weren't you?
Yes.
I have a copy here of your service record from the Army Officer's Documents Office.
Oh, Mr. O'Connor?
My lord, I don't object to the introduction of this.
Oh, very well, Mr. Lloyd.
Is it not a fact you're an expert shot?
Yes.
Yes, you won several interregimental pistol competitions before the war, and you're also trained to kill people, weren't you?
I suppose so.
How best to kill them, what exactly to aim at, all that sort of thing.
Well, it's a long time ago.
And you were awarded the Military Cross for an event which took place shortly after D-Day in 1944, in what sounds to me like a very courageous action indeed, in which you yourself shot dead 4 German gunners at close quarters. So obviously you knew exactly what you were about when it came to killing people. There's a curious thing. You see, you were never issued with an army service revolver of your own.
Oh, yes, I was.
These records are faulty.
If they say that.
But there's no mention of a revolver here, I can assure you.
Well, they are wrong, because
know-
I did have one.
Did you? Well, do you know what the serial number is stamped on that revolver over there?
Serial number?
Well, I'll tell you, it is 171740. And that gun was not in fact made until 2 years after the war.
Yes.
Yes. So now you have in fact lied to the court.
No, that is the gun I had in the Territorial Army. You see, after the war, I was called back on the Z Reserve, and I was a member of the Pistol Club.
Mr. Holloway, I put it to you that that is yet another lie to hide the fact that you went out and you bought the gun at the same time that you bought the bullets.
No, that is not true.
Indeed. Well then, let us turn to other matters to show how you deliberately planned this killing.
I did not.
The complaints made against you by Miss Berger and Miss Watson.
My lord, these 2 women were mentally defective.
My lord, some of their threats involve allegations of violence. Now, surely I may ask the accused if these are true.
Yes, I think we are on dangerous ground, but perhaps I may be able to help you, Mr. Lloyd. Now, did you make any threats of violence against those 2 women?
Oh, not real ones, my lord.
But you made some.
Well, I spoke sharply to them.
In what way?
Well, I do remember saying once, this was when I was very heated, I mean really heated, I did say, you'll regret this.
Mr. Holloway, these provocations and irritations from upstairs, they were not continuous, were they?
I'm sorry?
Well, did they happen every day?
Well, no, but...
Would it be true to say that a whole week might pass without any of these things happening?
Well, not very often.
But sometimes.
Well, yes,
And
but...
can you honestly say that if you heard a door slam or a window bang to, that had been done deliberately to provoke you?
Well, no, but you see in the...
And you're by no means an easy man yourself, are you?
I think I am.
Oh, do you? Well, where did you live before you came to Fulchester?
Durham, 29 King Street, Durham.
And did you not complain to the Durham police twice, 1965 and again in 1967, about your next-door neighbours up there, with whom you were having little short of a running fight with?
Oh, no, there was some friction.
But you didn't shoot them?
No.
No, indeed. Well, when exactly did you decide to shoot your neighbours in Fulchester?
Well, I don't think I did decide.
It just happened?
Yes.
By itself?
Yes.
Whilst your emotions were frozen, of course?
Yes.
Oh, come on now, Mr. Holloway, it's all nonsense, and you know it. I put it to you that in 1973, perhaps in March, perhaps later, you decided to kill your neighbours, and for that purpose, you went out and you obtained the gun and the bullets with a deliberate intention of killing them.
Oh, no.
And on October the 4th, last year, you went upstairs and you shot them both dead. Simple as that. Perhaps you lost your temper, I wouldn't know.
No, it couldn't have been like that.
Why not?
Because I never lose my temper.
I see. Thank you.
Mr. Holloway, is that the pistol you had as a territorial?
Yes, I believe so.
And in spite of the fact that you obtained the bullets without a license, you got them purely in the interest of self-defense?
Yes, that is right.
Mr. Holloway, why did you kill those 2 women when you did?
Well, it was my wife, sitting crying. she's a very gentle person, do you see, and I'm responsible for her. And she was ill. It seemed so completely unfair.
Your wife been made ill by it?
Oh, yes, she was in a terrible state.
And it was a sight of your wife sitting there.
I think that's when it must have started, yes.
When what started?
What I did. It was then that I realized it was inevitable. It was like a dream, looking back.
Thank you, Mr. Holloway.
My lord, my learned friend has now introduced some fresh material in re-examination, and in these circumstances I would like the opportunity to cross-examine on it.
Yes, I think you are entitled to do so.
Thank you, my lord. So your wife was ill,
Yes.
and that's what provoked you.
Well, not provoked.
Well, you didn't mention this in your statement.
What?
Your statement to the police, where you listed the things leading up to the killings. You didn't mention your wife's illness at all.
Well, no, I hope
And
to
now
be
you're saying
polite.
it's a key factor.
Well, I say it's a factor.
Do you
It wasn't
love
the
your
only
wife?
factor. Yes, of course.
How badly ill was she?
Pretty badly.
Which doctor did you take her to?
I'm sorry?
Which doctor saw her for this illness?
Oh, we didn't go to a doctor.
You didn't go to a doctor.
Well, no, we knew what was wrong.
But if you loved your
We
wife...
never go if we can avoid it. We don't like the National Health Service. There's filthy waiting rooms, and the doctor never has time
You
to listen to your
killed two
symptoms.
people, you say, because of your wife's serious illness, but it wasn't bad enough to go to a doctor. This is all nonsense. I suggest that this whole story is a pack of lies, and you've just invented it. Your wife was never seriously ill at all. You've invented it as an excuse for your own appalling act.
Well, ask her. Ask my wife.
Well, she may be a liar, too.
By God, don't you say that! God Almighty, you speak about my wife like that, I'll kill you!
Thank you, Mr. Holloway.
Dr. Dudley, would you please tell us your profession and what qualifications you have?
I'm a consultant psychiatrist and senior lecturer in psychiatry at the University of Fulchester. I hold the degrees of MB, BS, DPM, and member of the Royal College of Psychiatrists.
Have you had an opportunity to examine the defendant at some length?
I have.
Is it possible to define Mr. Holloway's mental type in layman's terms, I mean?
My assessment of his mental state is that he is a man who rigidly suppresses all emotional responses. Such personalities are, well, they're particularly prone to break down in an hysterical fashion under prolonged stress.
Is it possible that some such behaviour pattern could have been present when these two women were killed?
Yes, but with this difference. Had the shooting been carried out during an hysterical outburst, it would probably have been an uncontrollable act, excuse me, accompanied by the firing of many shots in random fashion, an emotional eruption, as it were. But here, it is quite clear that Mr. Holloway was suffering from dissociation.
Would you describe that, please?
Dissociation means that certain aspects of his personality which normally function together had become separated.
How did that affect Mr. Holloway?
Well, the action of killing those women became separated from his emotional reaction, his natural repugnance to the killing. He himself described it classically as his emotions being frozen.
And what might have caused this condition?
Oh, quite clearly the prolonged stress over the 3 years. But instead of bursting out in an hysteric pattern, it manifested itself in dissociation, what we call hysterical dissociation.
And does it mean that the sufferer is or is not responsible for what he does whilst in this state?
Oh, he is not responsible.
Not responsible.
No. When a man is in that state, you can't talk of knowledge of anything.
So Mr. Holloway was not aware of his actions in killing the Mrs. Berger and Watson?
Quite.
Thank you, Doctor.
Hysterical dissociation. Does it last?
Not usually.
Is it catching?
That is a stupid question.
Is it indeed? Well, has he had it before?
Probably not.
It's very convenient, then. Has he, in fact, any record of any other psychiatric illness at any time in his life?
No.
No. He is, in fact, a perfectly sane and normal man.
Sane, yes. I'm afraid I don't know what you mean by normal. Do you mean average?
I mean normal.
The word is meaningless in this context.
Well, supposing I were to strike my learned friend here with an iron bar, and then tell you that I did that while my emotions were frozen, would you say that I was not responsible?
I would not.
Why not?
You would be lying.
Yes, but how could you tell?
I am well equipped to tell liars.
Yes, well, let's not get on to personalities.
Besides, I don't know your mental state. You might well be paranoid.
Yes. Well, be that as it may. Now, there are many schools of thought in psychiatry, are there not?
Yes?
Your views, therefore, do not necessarily coincide with those of your colleagues.
No.
In fact, would it not be true to say that quite often the different schools are at loggerheads?
Not often.
But sometimes.
On some matters.
Of which this could be one.
Perhaps.
Thank you, Doctor.
Do you have any questions, my lord?
No, thank you. You may go, Dr. Dudley. Thank you.
My lord.
My lord, I was not anticipating this defence of diminished responsibility to be raised, and this ailment, hysterical dissociation, was it? Well, I must confess, it takes me very much by surprise.
Yes. Diminished responsibility is the defence, it seems. Oh, pity you were given no warning.
Well, yes, my lord. I must request, therefore, that I also may be allowed to call expert witness, and I'd also like the opportunity to cross-examine the defendant further. When I questioned him before, this possibility of hysterical dissociation had not been canvassed.
Mr. O'Connor.
I have no objection, my lord, to my learned friend calling an expert witness.
Very well. Do you have any other witnesses, Mr. O'Connor?
I do have one more witness.
Right.
My lord, my friend Mr. Tapp will conduct the prosecution whilst the defence finishes his case.
Yes, Mr. Lloyd.
I call Mrs. Rosemary Tonks.
Rosemary Tonks, please.
What is your religion?
None, I wish to affirm.
Just read aloud the words on this card.
I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Mrs. Tonks, what is your full name, please?
Rosemary Ann Tonks,
And where do you live?
16 Glebe Close, Fulchester.
Mrs. Tonks, you are a mental welfare officer employed by the Social Services Department of the County Council.
I'm a social worker.
I beg your pardon?
We're known as social workers nowadays.
Oh, I see. Thank you. And were Miss Berger and Miss Watson under your care from February 1972 until the date of their deaths?
Yes.
What was wrong with them?
Miss Berger had a manic depression illness. Miss Watson was also depressive. Both had very low IQs.
They were mentally ill.
Oh, yes.
Then why were they not in a mental hospital?
They were being retained under what is called community care. That is, they were not quite ill enough to be certified. And with our mental hospitals so grossly overcrowded anyhow, they stand a better chance of improvement in their own home, where they will be surrounded by normal people.
Thank you. Did you see them regularly?
About once a week.
During one of these visits, did you witness an argument between your patients and their downstairs neighbour?
It was one afternoon when I was visiting. I was sitting with my two patients in their living room when I heard the front door of the flat downstairs being unlocked and opened.
The division between the two flats was so thin that you could actually hear this.
Yes.
Go on, please.
After a moment, I heard a man's voice shout out as if he'd been frightened or alarmed in some way. My two patients immediately started to giggle. I said, "What have you been up to?" And Elizabeth, that was the younger one, said nothing. Then there was a knock at their front door. Neither of them moved, so I told Mavis, the older one, to go and answer it. She did, and I heard an argument on the landing.
Could you tell who it was with?
Yes. I'd met Mr. Holloway on several occasions, and it was his voice.
And what was the argument about?
Apparently someone had pushed offal through his letterbox, and he was asking if they knew who.
What sort of offal?
Excreta.
Did either of your patients admit to having done it?
No. But Mavis screamed at him that if he made such accusations again, she would do so. Then she slammed the door on him and came grinning back into the room. I said, that was a bit unnecessary, wasn't it? She just grinned.
What was Mr. Holloway's tone during this exchange?
Polite and reasonable. I asked them about the other occasions he'd complained to them.
We really can't hear this.
I think perhaps we can, Mr.
Tap, my lord.
Yes. Statements which tend to show a relevant person's mental or emotional state are exceptions to the hearsay rule.
My lord.
Go on, please, Mrs. Tonks.
They replied that he always spoke to them in that way.
Quietly and reasonably.
Yes.
Now, did you visit the Holloway's flat on the morning of October the 4th? That is the day that the shooting took place.
Yes.
And did you see both the Holloways?
Yes.
Did you notice anything in particular about Mrs. Holloway?
Yes, she was looking very ill.
In what way?
She was grey and really drawn, as if she hadn't slept for several weeks. And she was very jumpy.
How do you mean, jumpy?
She looked about to have a breakdown.
Thank you, Mrs. Tonks.
Yes, Mr. Tapp.
You're a doctor, Mrs. Tonks?
No.
Not medically qualified in any way?
No.
Not as a psychiatrist?
Well, I...
Just answer the questions, please. Are you a qualified psychiatrist?
No.
Then your observations are purely those of an amateur?
I am a qualified social worker attached to a psychiatric unit.
Cups of tea and chatter?
Only someone totally ignorant
Wouldn't
of
you
the
agree
pressures
there's
our
nothing
society
worse than
puts
an
on
amateur psychiatrist?
Yes. One meets so many of them in the courts.
Be that as it may. Mrs. Tonks, your testimony as to the mental state of any of those involved in this tragic story is purely that of a totally unqualified amateur. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes. And the fact that you say you overheard one argument in no way shows what the others were like.
They always told me.
They were always completely truthful to you, were they? About everything?
Yes.
Then who do you think put that stuff through the letterbox?
They did.
They lied about that.
Yes.
Then all their statements about these arguments are worthless. Mrs. Tonks, was this conflict unique in your experience?
I know of at least 5 other households where the wonder is there's been nothing like this so far.
Exactly. It's a fact, isn't it, that this suburban syndrome, as it's sometimes called, is a pretty common situation?
Yes.
Yes. Stresses of urban life, we're told. Why don't the others end in tragedy?
Luck.
Thank you.
Does your lordship have any questions?
Yes, Mrs. Tonks, did you receive a number of complaints about your 2 patients from the police?
Yes.
What did you do about them?
Nothing. My responsibilities were to my patients. They might have regressed.
And those whose lives were being made a misery, you felt no responsibility towards them?
Of course I felt sorry for them.
But not responsible?
Look, I didn't make the system.
Now, if you had taken some action over these complaints, do you not now feel that perhaps your 2 patients might still be alive?
Yes.
Thank you. You may step down.
My lord?
All this coming and going, Mr. Lloyd, I suppose it means you want an adjournment?
I would be most grateful, my lord. I would like the opportunity for a second psychiatrist to examine the defendant.
Yes, I think you're justified. I will adjourn the court until tomorrow, and then we will hear the prosecution's new witness.
All stand.
The case of the Queen against Holloway will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Charles Holloway, the manager of a newspaper kiosk on Fulchester Station, has confessed to killing his 2 upstairs neighbours by shooting them. Nevertheless, he's pleaded not guilty to murder. His counsel claims that at the time he was suffering from a psychiatric condition which made him not responsible for what he did. We return to the Crown Court as a psychiatrist gives evidence for the prosecution.
Dr. Singer, you've been in court throughout the greater part of this trial.
Yes?
You've heard and observed, and now you've examined the defendant, Charles Holloway.
Yes, of course.
Now, you've heard Dr. Dudley describe Mr. Holloway's mental state at the time of the killing as hysterical dissociation. Would you agree with that?
No.
You disagree?
Yes, as usual, I disagree with Dr. Dudley. You see, the hysterical syndrome is not psychotic. It wouldn't absolve him from responsibility. He would have been in full control of his faculties. Hysteria merely helps one to forget temporarily, you see.
Then would he have been fully responsible for what he did?
Yes. Well, he wanted to plead guilty, didn't he? He himself knows he's responsible. And your learned friend telling him not to, it's just irresponsible.
Yes. Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Singer, have you examined the defendant?
Yes, last night.
But never analysed him before that?
You don't mean analyse, you mean assess. But as I said, I never met him before my examination of him last night.
And yet you feel perfectly competent to deny the opinion of a most distinguished psychiatrist who has examined him several times and reported upon him at length.
That's right.
Do you usually form your opinion so quickly?
Now, it varies. Sometimes first impressions are firmer than subsequent opinions.
Well, how long would you deal with a subject before diagnosing his mental state?
I can make a broad classification within a few seconds.
A few seconds?
Well, it's not difficult. If I'm introduced to someone at a party, I often say to myself, schizoid or hysteric, while I'm still shaking hands.
Very alarming.
Not really.
And are you ever wrong?
Not when the symptoms are of the classic type, no.
I see. Now, in the case of the defendant...
He's a rigid repressive, prone to hysterical reaction.
Oh, you agree about that?
That is my opinion.
I mean, you agree with Dr. Dudley?
I've told you my opinion. Whether it agrees with Dudley is of no interest to me whatever.
Do you know Dr. Dudley?
I do have that uncertain fortune, yes.
What is your professional relationship to Dr. Dudley?
He's got cobwebs.
I beg your pardon?
I mean, his notions, they're outdated.
And yet you agree on the basic phenomena of this case.
Look, it came to this. This man shot those women during a period of hysterically motivated dissociation. That is a breakdown in integration of thought and action. Now, that doesn't account for what he did. It merely explains his lack of reaction to it. It doesn't absolve him from responsibility. He knew what he was doing, that it was his fault. He said so himself.
So he was responsible?
Yes.
You're quite certain about that?
That's right.
Beyond any shadow of a doubt?
Yes.
Because you're always right, aren't you?
Naturally, I believe I'm right.
Dr. Singer, did you resign from the British Psychiatric Society in 1962?
What?
Oh, come now, surely you haven't forgotten. They asked for your resignation. You had a row about it and it got into several of the papers.
That has nothing to do with this case.
And were not the society then called upon to make a public statement about their reasons for calling for your resignation? And they said, Dr. Singer's views are so clearly critical of standards of psychiatric practice in Britain and the aims of this society that we feel he'll be better not to be numbered amongst us.
That doesn't mean that they're right and I'm wrong.
But that is what they said, isn't it?
I don't remember. It's not
And they
important.
do represent the bulk of established opinion, do they not?
Perhaps there's no room for establishments of opinion in psychiatry.
Any re-examination, Mr. Lloyd? You may go. Mr. Lloyd, do you have any other witnesses you wish to call?
Yes, my lord, one more. I have indicated to my friend what his evidence will be. This is a witness who only came forward last night. His evidence was not relevant until then.
Mr. O'Connor.
No objection, my lord.
Very well, then, let's hear your new witness, Mr. Lloyd.
I call James John Allwright. You are James John Allwright of 42 Madeira Road, and you are station master of Fulchester Railway Station.
Manager. Station manager, we call it now.
Manager. Beg your pardon.
We must keep up with the times.
Yes. Now, you know the accused?
Yes, I've known him 4 years. He's got his kiosk on my station, papers and so forth, magazines, comics, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. How do you get on with him?
Got on very well indeed. Very easy man, you know, to get on with. Oh, yes.
Never loses his temper?
No, never. So when he did, it was a shock.
He did lose it?
That's correct, yes, I've just said that.
Just once in 4 years?
That's correct, yes. A customer comes up to me and says...
just a minute, please. Where was this?
Platform 3, 7:45 in the morning. I'm always about then, keep the lads at it, bust them along, you know.
Yes, yes. What happened?
Well, this customer says, had I seen the Holloways?
No, I'm sorry, you can't tell us what he actually said to you, but he did say something about the Holloways.
Yes.
Yes, now I should have asked this before. What was the date of this?
October the 5th.
You're quite sure of that?
Absolutely.
That is, members of the jury, the morning immediately after the shooting. It is some 6 hours before Holloway claimed he told his wife, and it's some 11 hours before he told the police.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. And what did you do?
Well, I went along to the kiosk to have a look for myself. Can't have customers being made rude at, can we?
And what did you observe?
Well, they were in a state, all right. Mrs. Holloway, well, she looked very ill, exhausted like. She looked to have been crying all night, couldn't scarcely tell what she was doing. Holloway, well, he was about to have a breakdown, I thought. He was actually shaking and barking and slanging the customers and banging things about. Well, it was a shock. And then I heard him actually shout at a customer. Oh, real temper that was. An explosion of real temper, you might say.
Now, would you have described him as being in a dream, or that his emotions were frozen?
What?
If someone had said to you that morning that Mr. Holloway was in a dream, or that his emotions were frozen, what would you have said?
I'd have said they wanted their heads examined. I've just said the opposite, haven't I?
Indeed you have, Mr. Allwright. Thank you very much.
You were aware, were you not, Mr. Allwright, that both the Holloways have been under intolerable strain for 3 years?
Not them.
You weren't?
They never spoke about it.
What, never?
No.
But you knew that Mrs. Holloway had been ill?
Oh, yes.
So there was nothing desperately surprising about seeing her ill that morning?
This is much worse.
Oh, yes, the shaking and so forth. What was the weather like that morning?
Weather?
Yes, the weather.
Now, look, you can't tell
me
me
that
the
first week in October was very cold. There were dawn temperatures of 6 degrees of frost. You don't recall?
No.
Oh, well, perhaps you're not a gardener like me. But we were all taken unawares, so it's not surprising that they were shaking and irritable.
I'd forgotten.
Yes, you had, hadn't you? Yet you were very quick to agree with my learned friend that this incident took place on the morning after the shooting. Yet you couldn't have known so at the time.
I've seen it since in the papers.
Oh, yes, you've followed it in all the newspapers.
Of course.
When did you first discuss this incident? The Holloway's demeanour with anyone?
Last night.
Last night?
When I was approached about coming here.
And that was the first time that you've discussed it?
Yes.
You see, I suggest, Mr. Allwright, that the incident that you described may not have taken place on October the 5th at all.
Oh, yes, it was.
Well, it may have been about then, but since you've been taking such a keen interest in it, following it in the press and all that, you have both exaggerated it and given it a date, whereas before it was just a vague memory.
I remember it clearly.
Definitely October the 5th.
Yes.
And you've a very good memory for dates.
I have a very good memory altogether.
Then what else happened on that day?
What?
Oh, come, your memory for comparative trivia is so good. What else happened on October the 5th which was far greater importance to you at the time?
What do you mean?
Well, did nothing else happen to you on that day?
I thought I was here to talk about the Holloways.
The loco men had a one-day strike. There were no mainline trains at all.
Oh, yes.
You didn't remember at all, did you?
I have a very good memory.
Well, I'm sure the jury can reach their own conclusions about that. I've no further questions for this witness, my lord.
Do your lordship have any questions?
No, thank you. All right, Mr. Yes, you may go. I think the accused had better be recalled now. Come down to the witness box again, please, Mr. Holloway. I would remind you again that you are still on oath.
Yes, my lord.
Mr.
I've no questions.
Mr. Lloyd.
Mr. Holloway, from about 3 o'clock on the afternoon of October the 4th, when you saw your wife weeping, to about 1 o'clock the following day, it is claimed that you suffered from a mental abnormality called hysterical dissociation.
It was certainly very odd.
But it has been claimed that in this state you didn't understand the consequences of what you were doing.
Yes.
Yes, you agree?
Yes.
Well, do you remember the actual shooting?
In a way.
Well, would you describe what you do remember as clearly as you can?
Well, I took the gun in my right hand.
Where was it normally kept?
In a box in the wardrobe with my papers.
The bullets too?
Yes. And I went upstairs. The door was open a bit.
Their front door?
Yes. There's a small landing at the top. I raised my left hand to open the door, and I stepped inside.
Go on.
Well, one of the women was there in the kitchen, and the other was over there in the bathroom. Both doors were open. And they both looked up at me. Rather surprised, I think.
Did they speak?
Don't think so.
And then?
I shot them.
Which first?
Can't remember.
And as you shot them, what did you feel?
Nothing.
Did you remain in the flat?
No, I came downstairs.
The moment you shot them?
Yes.
You didn't stay to examine the bodies, see if they were dead?
Don't remember. One of the cats came and rubbed against my leg. I remember that. And then I went downstairs. I put the gun under a dustbin and went inside to wash my hands.
And then?
Then we had tea.
You had tea?
Yes.
Why did you hide the revolver?
What? I don't know.
Don't you, Mr. Holloway? I put it to you that you hid it because it was incriminating, and you fully understood that, and you fully understood what you'd done, and you fully understood the consequences.
No, it was like a dream.
And why did you hide the gun?
Jane Holloway, and you live with the defendant at 9 Creswell House, Fulchester.
I'm his wife.
And you live with him?
Of course.
Are you quite well, Mrs. Holloway?
I've not been very well.
Are you recovered now?
No.
Would you tell us about your illness, please?
Do I have to?
We would be obliged if you would, and it may help your husband.
Oh. Well, it's those terrible persons upstairs.
Did this illness reach a crisis point?
Yes.
What happened?
One day at the pavilion, I just couldn't go home. I just sat there. I couldn't go back. My legs wouldn't move. I couldn't go back. I couldn't stand it for one moment longer. But my husband, he persuaded me in the end. He's a dear man. He got me onto a bus and we went home. He looked after me.
Can you remember the date when this happened?
Yes, it was
Yes?
the day.
Would you like to sit down for a moment, Mrs. Holloway?
The day he shot them.
The day that your husband shot these two women?
Yes.
Were you aware of what had happened?
Of course not.
He gave no indication of what he was about to do?
No.
And after this?
After what?
Well, after he appeared again, after he'd shot the two women.
We had tea.
When did he tell you what he had done?
The next day. About 4 o'clock the next afternoon, he sat me down and he told me. He said, I think I've shot those two creatures upstairs.
Did he say why he'd not told you before?
He told me he wasn't sure that he had done it. It was the dogs that convinced him.
The dogs?
They were howling. So he went up and looked.
Yes.
Lying there. They hadn't moved.
And what was the effect of this on you?
I had a complete nervous breakdown. I've been in hospital ever since.
Thank you, Mrs. Holloway.
Mrs. Holloway, did you know your husband had a gun?
Oh, yes.
Where was it kept?
In the wardrobe. He'd had it since the army.
And what exactly were you doing while he was upstairs putting an end to these women?
Making the tea.
And you had no idea what he'd done until he told you the next day?
That's right.
But, Mrs. Holloway, why didn't you hear the shots?
What?
We've heard how the divisions between your two flats were wafer thin, how you could hear each other's slightest movements. So why didn't you hear the shots?
I don't know.
It's a very large gun. The reports must have been very loud indeed. Why didn't you hear them?
Oh, I remember now. I thought it must be a lorry backfiring.
Immediately above your head?
What?
And twice?
Please, I don't feel very well.
Give her a chair, please. Are you all right? Mrs. Holloway, I think we should continue if you are able to.
Thank you. I'm all right now.
You see, Mrs. Holloway, I put it to you that you knew perfectly well what was happening. I put it to you that you heard your husband take that gun from the wardrobe, you heard your husband go upstairs, and you heard the shots. But that the whole thing was so profoundly shocking to you that you've pushed it to the back of your mind, and you've pretended that it didn't happen at all.
But it didn't. It didn't. I mean, I didn't know.
And that is precisely what your husband has done. His memory has rejected it. It's a common human foible to reject something you find horrific. It's just that you and your husband, you've taken it to an extreme degree.
No.
And you knew what he was going to do before he went to shoot them.
That is not true.
No further questions.
I've no re-examination, my
Very
lord.
well. Is that your evidence?
It is, my lord.
Thank you, Mrs. Holloway. You may go and sit over there.
Thank you.
Mr. Lloyd?
Members of the jury, murder is a heinous crime, but it is a simple one. It is the unlawfully killing of a reasonable creature with malice aforethought. Now, the defendant admits that he did kill the two women by shooting them, so that what is at issue is whether he did so deliberately, whether he planned it, and whether he was fully responsible for what he did. Now, the defense, and the only defense put forward, is the claim that at the time of the offense, and apparently only at that time, the defendant suffered from a mental abnormality which meant he was not aware of what he was doing. Now, despite the defense calling in expert psychiatry with its complex theorems and its convoluted terminology, in the end, we only have Mr. Holloway's word for how he felt at the time of the shooting. And I put it to you that Mr. Holloway's word is, to say the least, suspect. Mr. Holloway told the police that he'd had the fatal bullet since the war. That was a lie. Mr. Holloway told the police, and you, and me, and everyone else in the court, that he'd had the gun since the war. That was a lie. Mr. Holloway says that he's never lost his temper in his life. That is plainly a lie. You saw him lose his temper here in this court with me, even if I did provoke him. And Mr. Allwright, the station master, even if he's got the date wrong, still shows that Mr. Holloway clearly lost his temper with customers at the railway station. So Mr. Holloway's word is suspect. But even if we accept his word about him being in a dream with his emotions frozen, unaware of what he was doing, why then did he hide the gun? Now that surely is the conscious action of a guilty man. Now, members of the jury, you may be tempted to feel sympathy for the situation that the Holloways found themselves in. And indeed, I'm sure none of us would wish to live under those circumstances. However, Charles Holloway knew perfectly well that both his neighbours were mentally defective, under care of the local welfare authorities, hardly responsible for their actions. He could have sympathised with that. He could have moved away. Instead, he called them nuts, creatures, he threatened them, and finally he coldly, consciously, neatly, and deliberately shot them both dead. And that is something that cannot be sympathised with. I must ask you to find him guilty of murder on both charges.
Members of the jury, you have to decide if my client is a murderer. That is, that he plan and execute these murders deliberately and responsibly. Now, the only evidence the prosecution has brought forward to suggest that this was part of a cool and deliberate plan is the purchase of the bullet some months before. Now, my client has fully explained this, and the prosecution have chosen to accept this explanation. Now, I leave it to you to decide why. Now, as to the question of Mr. Holloway's state of mind, You have heard the opinion of a most eminent psychiatrist who described this as a classic case of hysterical dissociation, in which my client was not responsible for what he did. Now, the prosecution have made much of my client's outburst of rage here in this court. But I ask you, which of us would not react with rage if after 3 years of intolerable stress and a trial for murder, one's wife was called a liar, publicly insulted? In any event, an outburst of rage is the very opposite condition implied by this method of killing. Can any man boiling over with blind rage accurately and deliberately fire 2 shots, each exactly into the left ventricle? A police surgeon has told us that this would be impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, do you accept that the prosecution has proved, firstly, that this man cold-bloodedly planned and executed 2 deliberate murders, secondly, that he was fully in command of himself and knew exactly what he was doing throughout, and thirdly, that he has since acted out the symptoms of a little-known mental abnormality sufficiently well to convince an acknowledged expert? Mr. Holloway is a victim of most tragic circumstances. He killed, but he is not a murderer. I suggest to you it is your duty to bring in a verdict of manslaughter due to diminished responsibility, because that is the proper verdict on the evidence.
Thank you. Members of the jury, it falls to me to instruct you as to the law in this matter. Now, the charge is murder, and there could possibly be 3 verdicts open to you. Guilty of murder, not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter due to provocation or diminished responsibility, and not guilty of any crime at all. But it is not disputed that the accused, Holloway, caused the deaths of the Misses Berger and Watson, and that he intended to do so at the time. Therefore, clearly, the third choice, that of not guilty of any crime at all, is not open to you. Now, a man is guilty of murdering another if he, with intent to cause death or really serious harm, does an act which brings about the death of that other person. What would otherwise be murder is reduced to manslaughter if the killer's moral responsibility is impaired by provocation or by being in a state of diminished responsibility. Well, counsel has not put forward provocation in his defense, so we are left with diminished responsibility. Now, the accused would have been in a state of diminished responsibility if he had been suffering from such abnormality of mind as substantially impaired his mental responsibility for his act. Therefore, if you are convinced by the psychiatric evidence of hysterical dissociation that the accused was suffering from such abnormality of mind as impaired his mental responsibility, then the diminished responsibility will have been established. Lastly, I would reiterate learned counsel's advice to you about any sympathy you may feel towards the accused. Your responsibility is to find as to the facts in relation to the law, and you mustn't allow any other consideration to enter into your deliberations. Will you now please retire and consider your verdicts?
All stand.
Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached verdicts on which you're all agreed?
Yes.
On the first count of murdering Mavis Berger, do you find the accused guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter.
On the second count of murdering Elizabeth Pearl Watson, do you find the accused guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter.
Charles Holloway, I am satisfied that you are no danger to the public, and that the quite unique circumstances you suffered and which led to your crime are not likely to recur. I therefore find that the usual long custodial sentence is inappropriate, and I sentence you to 3 years imprisonment, and I recommend that the sentence be carried out under psychiatric supervision.
Next week, you can join another jury when our cameras return to watch a leading case in the Crown Court.